So our company is Mascot Company, or Mascot Soap Company, and it is a Wallum, Greenstein, Flood, Vanderveen, McLean enterprise. And Jan. I'm Louis Greenstein.
I'm Jake Van Veen.
I'm Shan. Hi, Flood.
Mitch Wallum.
No, McLean.
So we're the mascot company.
Okay, so our company, we're based around the pride and spirit of schools and sports teams and stuff like that. Our idea is selling bulk soaps for just university retail. It's to be sold in places such as like bookstores, at gift shops at games or something. And then our design is easily customizable to fit different universities, like we have here, multiple schools. And then Fantastic Soaps is our slogan. That's our logo right there, with the spiritful blowhorn thing with the soap bubbles coming out and everything.
So when we were trying to kind of figure out what our company would be and what our product would be and stuff like that, we put together a visual library. Just had a bunch of inspiration with pictures and some text on it. And so essentially for our project, our product, we wanted to have for this specific soap that we designed, we did a University of Washington soap. So we had a bunch of the different kind of logos and things that UW uses in their marketing, etc. And we also wanted to have a kind of rectangular bar with the kind of name or the logo embossed in the soap itself. For our company, we wanted it to, based around sports teams, and tap into the pride that people hold for their sports, for their universities that they went to, etc. For the personality, we wanted it to be kind of a clean, modern design for the packaging and the soap itself. And for our symbols, we took a bunch of different kind of pictures that you associate with both of the things that we do, like the mascot. We have, again, the kind of horn with bubbles coming out of it. So that's the kind of shows both that it is soap and that we are aiming towards pride and mascots for companies or schools.
Okay, so for the market, obviously it's colleges, and so how we would sell them would be to university bookstores, and they would be in bulk, and the colleges would have the option to have them as like a care package for new students entering their dorms, whatever they choose to do with our soap. So it's like a simple, fun way to promote school spirit, as Louis said. And so our relative competitors, there wasn't exactly any soap company like us that did something like soap for schools, but the closest were the Irish Spring and
So in order to do research on our competitors, we made this graph, and so we compare the cost and how easy it was to buy soaps in bulk. So for our competition, some of the soaps near the top are like the higher quality soaps, but you buy them in smaller packages. But a soap like Irish Spring, you can get very cheaply and a lot of soap, but it's not necessarily a higher quality. And so we're kind of, you can see where it put us, kind of in the middle. It's fairly cheap, but you can also buy a fair amount of soap at once.
So when we interviewed people, we went to SU, all of us went to SU, and just asked around students and teachers and just whoever was around the SU campus. And this was when we were still kind of coming up with our design. Our soap wasn't completely finished. So this is more an idea to get what college students were looking for in soap. So one of the questions was, would you buy a school-themed soap at your college bookstore? And the majority of people said yes. What do you think of the idea of customizable soap for different colleges. Majority said yes, we would like it. A lot of people thought that school spirit was very important to them, so the fact that they would have soap in their bathroom would be a fun way to show their school spirit. And also we asked whether they would want hand soap or body soap, and most of the people said body soap, so this is a body washing soap. And then we have a quote from, was it Mitch's sister?
Yeah.
And this was after our whole product was done, and they said, "This is such a great, neat idea. I could totally see this being successful in university bookstores. I think a lot of my friends would buy this soap. I love the design of the soap. How the logo is popping out of the box."
Right, so we pretty much have kept our target demographic the same over the university and sports teams. Originally we wanted to do color changing soap, which is like soap that when it hits water it will change from one color to another. And we wanted to do this through using cabbage juice,
It's a pH changing, or it's a pH indicator.
which we found was not very easy to use with. It took too long for the color change. Also, it didn't smell very good. And we also tried to find alternatives, but none of them were safe for human skin contact. We also wanted to make it lemon scented, but a lot of people from the surveys said they didn't really want lemon scented soap. It smelled too much like dish soap. So we tried to make something more pleasant to smell. So we went with the one we had.
That's a lavender is purple.
Yeah, so our first lab that we did was we would make the soap, we would put it in a blender and then blend it for a certain amount of time and then add the cabbage juice to see if that would affect the change of the color or the soap at all. And it didn't really work at all because it made number one, the cabbage juice didn't end up working to change the color of the soap, but also it would make it too watery, and so it was like mush. And then we also kind of changed the amount of scents of the soap and like how long as well we added them. And we found out that we didn't really need that much for our bars of soap because they're fairly small, which also made it very affordable, but they're small, so we ended up the scent, we started out really low and then went fairly high, and some of them were very strong and were almost unbearable, but then we kind of found through the lab a reasonable amount. And we also changed the temperature, and which we were testing to see if there was an effect on the pH and cleaning ability, which we did 3 trials, one at 50 degrees Celsius, 55 and 60 degrees Celsius. We heated both components at the same temperature, and we ended up finding that 55 degrees was relatively like the perfect temperature to mix the two because it wasn't too lardy and came out of the bowl. So
We also found that the temperature of the ingredients for the soap had no effect on the pH. Yeah.
Okay, so our final design, we kept our target demographic. We thought that was a really strong point. The color changing would have been really expensive, would have driven up the cost of our soap, and it would have been hard to do, so we decided against that. And we have the university logo engraved into the soap. Should we start? Oh yeah, sure.
We're going to be doing a little bit.
And then the lavender scent, based on our survey results, is one of the ones that people like the most. And this is a picture of our final product. And so one of the challenges with us was making sure that it was known that it's a soap. So we had to put soap on there, and then the logo is our centerpiece since we're selling the school more than anything. We're selling the school colors, the logos, etc.
So we did a lot of work on the financials of the soap, and we found out that it takes about $1.50 to make a single bar of soap and package it. So we decided to sell it for as cheaply as possible for about $2 per bar, and that would be what we sell to the actual stores and then they would sell it to the public for, we estimated like $2.50, which they said was about the ideal price for soap. And so assuming that we sell 35 bars of soap a month, we would break even in about 26 months. And that's because we set the price of the soap pretty close to the cost of creating soap. But that also makes it cheap, and we estimate that we'd probably sell a lot more than 35 bars a month. So these are the tables. So the top two are the current tables. So this is the fixed costs and variable costs. And then the bottom two are our estimated ones for the future, so the projections. And so for our fixed costs, it totals, it's kind of hard to see here, it totals up to be a little more than $800. And then variables, it's about $1.50 for each bar. So, and then in the future, we would want to get a printer so that we could mass produce more of the packaging, and we'd need a place to work, and that would cost money per month.
All right, so now I have to think about where we are going to go with this project in the future, or with this company in the future. And so our main goal is going to be to expand to more universities, because at the moment, again, we haven't even, but like we just have one prototype for University of Washington. But in the future, we would like to reach out to various other universities and possibly even sports teams. Like we could have a Seahawks soap or something like that. And we're also thinking about making possible changes to the packaging, because at the moment, the box is made, the part that's coming off, part of the logo that's coming off of the box is actually folded out of the piece of paper that the rest of the box is folded for. As you can see, this is the flat design for our box. And so that could be in the future, when we are doing this on a bigger scale, that could be more expensive and also increase labor costs. So this is just a very quick proof of concept where essentially I have gotten a piece of foam and cut out the part of the logo. So instead of actually folding it out of the rest of the box, we could have this cut separately and then glue it onto the top, which would reduce labor costs significantly. And of course, this is just a very quick mock-up. In reality, we would use much higher quality foams, etc. And this is just a little mock-up, so we can pass around the current box that we have, so people can look at that. The other things, we'd like to develop machines to help mass produce these soaps for us, like machines to, like larger mixing machines to mix larger batches of soap at the same time, so we can make more than just one bar. And we're also, although it's not on the board, also would like to do some more research on how much dye to put into the soap itself to make it colors, because this bar itself was not quite the color that we would have liked for the University of Washington purple. So we'd like to do some more labs on that, and also just kind of general outreach and getting us into more universities, etc. However, we are planning to continue to make high quality soaps that are customized to look exactly how our customers want them to look. And that's it.
It's a great presentation. It really holds together really well. The decisions that you made came across for pretty clear reasons to us, which is great. This is a group that, like, you know, everybody contributed, like across the board, which is really pretty outstanding. Like everybody, like no egos, which blows my mind. Like, which is great. Like to have a group where there's relatively low ego and yet you still get stuff done is a really good thing. So it's really impressive that you got that done. And it does. Like I could look at this and be like, yeah, they might be able to kind of do this and take it over to SU. We might be able to get something. I think as a proof of concept, like you're there. I think the big question is like, what next and how do you negotiate the next part kind of minimizing risk would be probably what Jonathan would say, because you're going to start to scale up here pretty quickly, and you're going to have a really good plan in place for doing that well. I think of, like, for example, this is not a good metaphor. The only one I can think of is Seattle's growing. Let's build some new buildings, and suddenly everybody builds buildings, and nobody realizes that the market's going to crash or something like that. I don't know if it will. But when you move on to that step of scaling up, there are always changes that occur, and many of them are ones that you can't foresee or didn't foresee. But with that in mind, what do you think would be the biggest challenges to you guys in terms of, okay, got the concept, go and talk to several people, and they're like, yes, we want it. What do we do now? And what do you think would be the major pitfalls that you would want to avoid in the scale-up process?
Well, at least what I think is it took us a long time to get the right color, and we want to change the color of the soap for different colleges that have different major colors for their mascots. And so that would take up a lot of time and effort and experimentation. The boxes are pretty easy. You kind of just spin them out pretty quick. But definitely the color and the engraving of the soap.
Although in scale up, you're then going to need a laser. How many lasers are you going to use? Like how expensive are those? What's the rate at which they produce? All that stuff.
The other thing is we hope to in the future for the box itself, because for just the few prototypes that we did make, we used the laser cutter, which SAS has, to cut out the design. But in the future, we would like to hopefully design machinery that can use like a stamp to cut out materials, so that it greatly reduces the costs of the making the box itself. And that same machine could be used with different stamps to cut different boxes.
We would also be customizing the scent of the symbol and the color of each school. So lavender is purple, so it goes along with SU.
Anybody else have any thoughts about scale up?
When I worked in the lab a lot, for the physical actually making of the soap is quite involved. We would definitely need to have some sort of automation for creating the soap, because sitting over a blender and just blending soap, we can make like 1 or 2 bars out of it. It's just not it's not very efficient to do it with blenders, so we'd have to scale up with that machine.
I'm looking at the challenges. I think the box engineering is really great. I'm so amazed that you figured out that whole shape. So I did see that there was an ink cost on your financials there. Most of the time with really elaborate box engineering, there's usually a firm, a printing / box engineering firm that will do the die cut for you, print it for you, and fold it for you. So you can probably take ink away, paint away from your financials, and all of that die cutting, and it's all part of the printing process. They'll print it first, then they'll stamp that die cut out, and then they'll also stamp the folds in, and then the only challenge that you might have going forward is the compromises that you make. You might go with a heavier piece of paper and find that you're only going to have one face in the front, and you might have to forego that foam shape in the back. And if the carton is thicker, then that die cut that stands out only in the front would probably be strong enough to withstand, the movement that it's going to have on the shelf.
That's a very reasonable thing to do, and I think that's probably a very good idea to do if we do in the future.
Yeah, that might be one of the costs that you farm out, is the die cut printing and engineering.
Did anybody check with the universities what they charge you to use their logo?
We have not, and that would also, of course, be an important thing to do. We'd have to have a very close relationship with the universities and the companies that we are working with to make sure that we are clear about what's happening.
Yeah, that was one of our biggest obstacles, is trying to get licensing for universities and other corporations, because we're kind of relying on that, because without them, we're not as unique as we want to be.
But we're also supporting them. We're selling them at their bookstores, not at our own store. So it's supporting them. So we're hoping that they would like that idea and want to have our soap.
Don't like that idea, but if you're making a profit on their logo, you're
That's
trying
true.
to.
Jackson, you can go, you're right.
Oh, I was just wondering if you guys considered making the soap fit the, like maybe just having the packaging be just a W, having your soap be in the shape of a W, did you guys?
We thought about that, and trying to keep a practical W to soap wouldn't really work. It would all break, and it just wasn't a very practical idea. We talked about it though, and it was something, it was creative, it would have made us very unique, but it wouldn't have been practical. And I don't think people would want W soap shapes. It'd be hard to use, they'd all be breaking.
Also, the packaging of the soap in just a W wouldn't really be as appealing, I think.
I want to start by just saying that I really do think this is a moneymaker, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But first, I want to ask a little more about the, going along with the logo, you talked about, like, Sean just asked a question in terms of, like, finances, like, how do you negotiate with, did you guys actually try to talk to them?
We did not for this one prototype. We thought it would be better use of our time just to go through because we're not actually going to be marketing it.
Okay. Did you guys think about how you are going, like, expanding your market further than the college student?
Well, there's hundreds of colleges that we would plan on doing them. Like we also mentioned, sports teams, and then maybe one thing I was thinking about is maybe anywhere, any different types of souvenir stores, like.
Well, I think you have misunderstood what, like, not changing the product, but changing who it's for. Yeah.
That's so
So instead of colleges,
Instead of college students.
so for targeting instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Who else do you think would purchase this stuff?
Yeah,
Maybe like alumni.
Yeah, there you go. Alumni. You spend a lot of money on stuff like that.
yeah, well, that's why we would also sell them at the university bookstores.
Right.
So then, like, we actually talked about going to the UW bookstore, but like, I go there sometimes if I'm, in the neighborhood, so I think that,
Yeah.
if you're a fan of UW.
You might have thought about walking around the,
sweatshirts and-
walking around the bookstore and actually, like, looking to see what kind of products are out there. I think during your presentation, if you guys had all, like, worn a different college shirt, right? White seems to be like what all the groups are presenting, but like.
We were gonna do purple, but not all of us.
Right. And the reason that I think that this is a good idea is because I've seen it work. A friend that I went to high school with a couple of years ago, he was, how like those just different colored sunglasses, like kind of the mirror tint stuff. He found online that he could buy some like super cheap frames from China for like $3 a piece or something like that. And he had another friend who was he was making lenses for like replacement lenses for Oakley, and he could get those for almost nothing. So he was able to like, for what it cost him, it was something like $10 to make sunglasses. And he was able to get some licenses. He started at UW and University of Oregon, and now they were like Shady Peeps, but now they're like Society 43. Has to do with like the first crew team or something like that. But he's in like 50 different universities across the country and making a crap ton of money after 3 years. And it's all like he totally just targeted and marketed college students, alumni, and I mean people are like super prideful about their universities. And I mean if you bring up the Huskies around a Coug fan, you're done, and vice versa. And so people will stick this stuff in their homes. College students, yeah, they might buy them at the bookstore, but they don't care. They're going to use Dove or whatever soap. It doesn't matter. The only reason they would buy it is if it was cheaper, which you guys said it was. But I would say that alumni specifically, they're going to have this stuff in their bathrooms. They're going to have friends over, and they're going to make sure that their like Coug fan friends have like there's a UW soap. They might even leave it in their friend's house. But like really, like this, like playing off of people's what's the word? Pride. Yeah, sure. Playing off of that can be huge, and you guys could, if you get that market right, and get a little display case inside of the bookstore. You have a little website that people can order stuff on. Like you're gonna make some money.
So, as a, I don't know how to say this, as a parent of a graduating senior, I am really, really pleased to hear that definitive market research shows that soap is indeed used at college. So first, I just want to say how happy I am about seeing the research in black and white. The second thing is, I love those boxes. I think they're fantastic, I think they're eye-catching. I think actually sometimes in science you think you're going to be inventing one thing and you invent something else, and you have to be flexible enough to realize that this anomalous thing that happens is actually the real thing of science. That box could hold playing cards, that box could hold other things, that box could actually be marketed, could be the thing that you could market to other companies that want to sell their paraphernalia with your box, if you were able to copyright it or patent it or whatever. So I think there's actually opportunity for just the box. I will say that people are going to want to keep the box. So you want to have the box so that it's going to be durable enough. So, you know, they may or may not use the soap, or maybe like one of these things where the soap never gets used. But you don't want a product that someone wants to save as never being used soap. You actually want them to buy more of them. So you kind of have to figure that out. You don't want to make the box something that's standalone, that they get that in addition, and then they get the soap too. But it's kind of an interesting product, because you're actually selling nostalgia, you're selling memory, you're selling the fact that we went to college and had a great time there. And so you do want something durable out of it. It's a very important part of it. Anyway, congratulations.
So if you're gonna sell, I'm guessing you're gonna sell your product in bulk, right? So
Correct.
how are you gonna package it so the box isn't crushed, because the top seems a little.
Right. That's a very reasonable question. These are actually remarkably strong, but they, again, they were even like some of the designs don't have extending parts. Like this one just lines up with the this part. But for ones where it does extend over the side, if we had two of these, we could show them kind of nestling together, just because both of these sides move out the same amount, so they could fit pretty efficiently. And also, again, if we had just a cardboard box out surrounding the packages, I think that would be definitely sufficient enough to protect them from being crushed.
You know, the logo, the UW logo and the SU logo are so nice and bold. Your embossing on the soap itself could also be a little bit bolder. Not necessarily changing the shape of the soap, but really maximizing the way that you emboss it. You could almost do like a half shape so that it takes on that same bold logo effect that the box does.
I was actually going to talk about the embossing logo on the soap. I was wondering, like, so as it is right now, you would wash that out pretty quick.
Right.
So I was basically, if you cut all the way through and you're just like a visible hole with the UW logo or the SU logo or something, that would stay through the whole time you use the soap, and you would still get the logo effectively just all the way through.
That would definitely be a good idea. My only concern with that would be if you're washing your hands, then it could break, or it could even, the soap that you wipe off could get stuck in the hole and eventually kind of get rid of, just wipe it off, just fill it kind of. But that's definitely a reasonable idea and something to think about for in the future.
So it's more for like the beginning of when you get the stuff, because like Dove and all these other soaps have their engraving on them, and eventually it all washes away.
Sorry, this is a follow-on, but if you want to encourage people to use the soap, you could also think about maybe embedding something into the middle of the soap that makes them either want to break it to get it or use it to find it. And it is an intrinsic property of soap that it melts away and it becomes a mush. But if there's something in there that they're, they get 5 of these, they get this, or they get this special character, they get, free entrance to the basketball game, or whatever it is, you can get people excited about actually using more iterations of the project rather than just one in my box. But of course, I want the box, but maybe someone else wants it too.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good idea. That we could also talk to sports teams and stuff and see if we can get occasionally we could even have something like chance almost, where in a certain number of soap bars there's tickets to a sports game or something like that. So, well, I mean, we could have like plastic or laminated, things like that. So there are definitely a lot of options that we can do for this, and that is a very good idea to help encourage people to use the bar.
I just wanted to add something. I think you guys did a great job, by the way, and I, as having a daughter going off to college, I would so buy that. I absolutely would. But I think to dovetail what you were saying, it could be you have a packaging thing going, and then you have a soap thing going, and they both could be great. So you could take, like the deck of cards, that, something like that. That's great. But even for the bath line, as far as the soaps, you probably need to do a little bit more research. I'm just thinking about how you said you want maybe darker colors. I'm just thinking, I don't know if I want to wash in dark purple. It's something to think about. What does it do to my tub? Is it now I've got to scrub the purple out of my, stuff like that. You got to think about it. Being the one who sometimes cleans the tub. But the other thing too is thinking about, who you're marketing to. It's not necessarily the college student, but people like me. I like to take a bath. You could expand the bath line to like fan fizzies, where you have the school colors and they're like bath fizzy, things. And so I could see you could go a couple different directions. I think it's a really well thought out idea. Yeah.
I also really like the thought you put into your company brand and how you're communicating that on your package, and it's a great name.
All right, so maybe one more question?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say that I was also thinking about the little toy idea inside the soap. I think that'd be really cool, but especially because, I had mentioned how Dove has a little logo on the front, which kind of washes away as well. I think that Dove's more selling their soap because you're looking for the product that's gonna help clean the best, but I think that you guys are selling more of the logo and what looks the best. So you might want to just think about how you can preserve the logo on this soap.
Yeah, it's definitely something.
I was going to make a suggestion. Navi's idea about making a hole through the soap, we would have the logo. You could have a two-part mold where you poured a different color soap into that middle, so then you'd never have the issue of the hole, and then no matter how small the soap got, you still have your logo.
Okay, thank you guys, nice job.